guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Restorations. Check it out. It's time to reintroduce you to this beautiful truck. This is a 1979 Volkswagen Rabbit pickup truck, one of 782 that were built that year, and likely the last one on the road. This is my baby, and I wanted to show this to you as an intro to this car. Here we are in the middle of 2024, and I'm going to go back in time over the next few weeks with you and show you the process of picking this car up out in Oregon, driving it back across country, doing a mechanical restoration first on the body and suspension, and then on to the wiring systems, and then on to rebuilding the engine and putting a little faster engine and better transmission in it. So let's go ahead and get the tripod and take the camera off the tripod, and we'll do a quick walk around in it. You'll notice it has not been painted. The body on this thing is beautiful. Just a few spots of surface rust, no rust through, no wrecks. A very rare condition for a car like this. And so I've done my best to preserve what's left of the original paint. Someday I might paint it, but let's take it off. I'll get you a close up, show you the inside, some of the modifications that I made over the last, 7 years of ownership. Right on. So right out of the gate, you'll see that we did replace the tires that made it across country from 2008, I'm sorry. And oh my gosh, that's a little bit out of date. So we got some brand new Mastercrafts on there about 5 years ago now, and those have been holding up nice. Kept the rims that came on. I had picked up a set of GTI rims for this thing, but ended up keeping it as what it was. One of the first mods we made, it came with a cap. We took the cap off. The bed was pristine, and so we went ahead and put bed liner in there. And you can see there's a couple spots that it needs to be touched up, but I've babied it. I do use this as a work truck, so I mean it is getting use. So it does have a little scratches here and there, but no real dents. A lot of these get these terrible waves in it, and the tailgate too would get this big bow in it from carrying tractors and stuff, riding mowers up and down off of it. This one has survived all that. So next up, I replaced the emblem here, the Volkswagen. It had been painted once in its life, and those have been painted over, so I picked up some stickers and we were able to fix that up, and I think it came out nice. The original bumper is in great shape, and I did add a 2-inch hitch and added some wiring harness to it so I could tow with that thing, so that's been really nice. Taillight assemblies are original and they're hanging in there. Does have the optional rear slider, which was kind of rare for this year, and it does have, this is a deluxe model, it did have the inside adjustable mirror for this, which was kind of cool, as well as pop-out vent windows there. Now the previous owner had tinted it. I'm not a huge fan of tint, but I let it be. All right, and up here is where most of the restoration took place, although I did do a lot underneath, as you'll see in the coming videos. The original engine, a 1.6 liter fuel injected engine with a 4-speed, had a really, really high gear ratio to where this thing was doing about 3,800 RPM at 65 miles an hour, and that just wasn't sustainable in a modern era. So found a 1984 GTI engine with the big valve 1.8 liter engine, and picked up a really, really high overdrive model, a 0.70 overdrive 5-speed at the same time, and installed both those. Of course, total rebuild on that. That'll be a whole series in itself here on the channel in the coming weeks. And you can see, did some modest upgrades. So I tried to keep this thing kind of period correct. Didn't do a 16 valve swap, didn't do a VR6 swap. Tried to keep it 80s and 90s era specific. So we got a nice chrome valve cover, chrome timing belt cover kit here, polished, ported and polished intake manifold that I cleaned up real nice. EGR block off plate, that was something I made myself out of a street sign. Does have a big bore intake and the throttle for it. When I picked it up, it had this brace here for the top, and that was just silly. Those things don't do anything. They're just a way to suck money out of people's wallets. So we got rid of that, but just did some upgrades to the fuel system as well. That was actually in great shape, the fuel distributor. New fuel filter, new injectors, and that's pretty much all I've had to do to the fuel system. Oh, a new fuel pump, which it died, made it all the way across country in this thing, and it died the very next time I drove it. So somebody was looking out for me, if you know what I mean. Of course, the early Westie is the best headlight and grill arrangement I think they offered. Early Westies, I put a set of these amber fog lights in, and they've got some use out of them, so they're kind of fading out a little bit, but that is my favorite look. And this has the optional bumper guards also as an option, so this is definitely the deluxe edition. But all that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna come around on this side here. This side has a little bit more surface rust showing up. You can see there's a spot flaking there, some right here from arm wear, no doubt, and then there's a body seal that goes here, and that has cracked and is now flaking. So that's on my list of things to accomplish here in 2025 probably. Of course, it's looking good. Now you'll notice when I bought this thing, it had been lowered, which is just silly, but restored it to original ride height, new struts, new strut inserts, and new coil springs for the front. And in the rear, thanks to partsplace.com, I even found a set of brand new rear leafs because the originals were pretty saggy. So new leafs, and then I added leaf spring helpers to give it extra lift because I do use this as a work truck. So, of course, if you're into my other channel, you know that I like to play on the radio, and I did add a 102 whip here, kind of a period correct piece anyway. Cool, well, let's hop inside. I'll show you the inside of it. And here we are. So the inside, it's been difficult to find all the pieces I needed. Never did find a suitable dash replacement, so I ended up reinstalling the original dash. But nice door cards, they were in good shape. The original seats, it had some like Recaro, really painful to sit in seats. And so I found a set of original ones. They do need to be recovered. They're in peanut brown right now, so I just left these cheapo seat covers that I got here picked up and some floor mats to go with it. On the inside, a lot of changes. If you look down here, and I should have filmed this better, the big problem with the 75 through 80 models is that fuse box right there. Horrible issues with those. Managed to find a new one shipped from Germany and was able to swap all that out, got rid of all the electrical gremlins this thing was suffering from. And then the dash itself is the original single dial. I love it. It does have this Grant steering wheel. I tried to find a replacement, and I found a few, but they weren't period correct. They were for later models, so I ended up leaving that. Now, the dash, I did make some mods. We have an afterthought here, which a lot of times what kills these cars is the electric fan won't come on, the sensor goes bad or whatnot. So I added a bypass to it. If you want to, you can turn that fan on even when the car is set up properly. So it does work. The fan works, but that's an extra. These switches over here, that's fog light, and I do have some interior lighting in here, some red accent lighting that I think is pretty cool. Speaking of that, I'm not sure if it'll show up. Let me turn the key on here. Let me turn the radio down because we don't want to get a copyright. Okay, I've got the key on here. I'm not sure if it'll show up. You can see the red. Those are red LED lights that have replaced the original lighting. And even in here, you can see in there the glove box, the cigarette lighter. This one did not come with a glove box light, so that doesn't work. The little green light around that also works. So, and then, like I said, I have some LEDs, a little hard to see, I guess, but some lighting down here that just accent lighting when you're driving at night. It's kind of nice. You can see what you're doing. I guess the other thing here is this radio. I got a cheapo Boss radio that works perfectly. It fits that slot really nicely. Of course, the heater, no AC in this, but the heater's working fine. And this is the biggest thing that was hard to find. I had to have this shipped from like Croatia, or no, Croatia doesn't exist. Slovenia, I can't remember what country it was, but not where you'd expect to find it, but it's a center console for a non-AC early Westie, and so fits perfectly, has a nice deep pocket down under there. Got my little President Bill CB radio. You can also see I do have some gauges that I added, volts and temperature, and then this allows me to use the radio with the key off, car off, and then another little holder there for stuff. So pretty nice. That's it for upgrades though. The original carpet's still in here. It's a little faded. I've thought about staining it. You know, you can put carpet kits in here, but the carpet itself isn't in bad shape. It's just faded from 50 years nearly. So that's what's going on there. And the last thing that's going on, I guess I'll show you back here, is this was actually in here when I bought it, and I certainly chose to keep it. It does have a fire extinguisher, and it does have some aftermarket speakers hiding back there, three-way speakers that are actually still working pretty good. So yeah, that's it. Let's wrap this thing up. So that's it, my friends. It's been an interesting journey with this car. Over the next couple of months, you're going to see content from all the way back to when I went out to Oregon and picked up this car, including some pictures of its original condition, all the way up to this one right here where we wrap this series up. A lot of underbody work, a lot of tire and brake work, and then of course a complete engine rebuild. So if you're interested in learning how to rebuild these water-cooled car engines, well, there's a great video that covers every detail of it. It's an 8-part series, I believe, and it'll all be coming shortly here on the Farpoint Restoration channel. If you're into air-cooled or water-cooled early vintage Volkswagen stuff, you've come to the right place. If you have any questions about ownership or how to keep your little Volkswagen on the road, leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer those for you. Till next time, my friends.